Good afternoon, legends. Our quick buy, hold, risk, sell. Just quick little 30 seconds or a minute on each player. That is relevant this week, that is for sure. And just before we get into this, I mentioned this and asked for it a while ago, and it was absolutely incredible response. And it's really helped actually grow the podcast side of my business here. And it's been mainly, obviously, YouTube. The podcast has been a very consistent thing recently, and the viewership is really growing. And thank you so much to everyone who did give me a 5-star rating there on Spotify and obviously Apple Podcasts as well, the two main platforms it's on. So if you can jump on Spotify, super easy. Just hit the 5 stars is awesome. With the Apple one, you can leave a comment as well. But yeah, most people did Spotify. And if you go in there and if you haven't done it yet, I would absolutely appreciate that. Obviously, if you guys are still here watching in round 18, appreciate your support so much. And let's hope for a massive last 10 rounds of the season. So thanks again for jumping in and doing that. So this week, just a quick one on some of the sells. So Manu, definite sell, I think, in my opinion, out for 4 weeks. Marshall King out longer term. Unfortunately, he's a sell there as well. Harry Grant we'll speak of. Hopgood, Armstrong, definite sells. Hands and Brown we'll speak about as well. I think that's an interesting one there for sure. Fletcher Sharp, again, we'll speak about him. Salmon can sell. Farlongo can sell. Johnson, yes. Xavier Coates, sell. K Weeks we'll speak about. McKaylee and Finafuyaki can easily be sold as well. So let's kick it off for Brendan Hands there. At 388k, he didn't score particularly well last week, but the 4 weeks before that, he went 31, 55, 33, 43, and 21. So I do think you're jumping the gun. Yes, he played 52 minutes, but he had 8 missed tackles, which his highest missed tackles was 3 before that. So I'm expecting him there to get at least a 30 this week. Could go well past that, could get a try assist, all these good things. So Brendan Hands is a hold, in my opinion. Damien Cook is 751k. He's the best hooker at the moment. Him and Reid Marnie are the two guys, and then Jacob Little, who we'll speak about in a second. But Cook is on a tear at the moment, scoring incredibly well. The 46 was his low in the since round 10, and he's gone 57 is his second lowest score. So he's been incredible. He's someone that I'm looking at this week, and I think you can target as well. If they happen to be in the top 8 hunt coming into the last round, he will play every single game here. There's a little bit of a risk on him potentially losing some minutes, but that hasn't happened at all since round 11 there, where he got a try and they obviously lost to the Bunnies, but he played 68 minutes, which is still high and is not a problem. So Cook, a really, really good one to look at this week still for sure. Reid Marnie is 716, a little bit cheaper, but doesn't play round 19. Obviously there has a really good record. Apart from that, 42 in round 16, he's been so consistent, but he made up for it with the 78 last week. So he's a really good purchase as well. If you don't need a hooker for round 19, but you want to supplement your round 19 guy. Little, he covers 19, misses 20, and has a little bit of a tougher kind of sequence of games here. Roosters, Broncos, bye into the Penrith and Melbourne Storm boys. You look at the recent hit of games where he scored well. He did have a 52 against the Panthers. It was without their origin stars. He's got good points against the Dolphins, Manly, Tigers in recent history. So some slightly lower teams. And then the Dogs in round 12, though, against their really good team. And they ended up getting smashed by the Dogs 44-12. So I don't think it matters too much who he comes up against. It's just the minutes for him. And he continues to get big minutes and will score well for you this week and going forward. A few people mentioned Blake Brayley there. 575k. He's had an awkwardly terrible run of games here through sort of round 10 to round 14, 20s and 30s. It was pretty gross. So that's kind of cooked him a little bit. He obviously has a season average of 45.6, priced at 41. He could definitely come out and keep going well after getting a 64 on the weekend, but there's a risk involved in that and misses round 20. So if you have to go cheaper, I do understand, but there's other guys I think you can target as well. Tommy Starling, if you don't need a hooker for round 19 and you want to cash down, I think he's the best cash down or cash cow of the week, given the situation that he finds himself in now as a starter. And we're all looking for cash downs at some point. So it's not Tom Starling should be able to do a great job. And we know that when he plays decent minutes, 40 plus, 50 there, he can have good scores. He got 70 in 78 minutes without a try in round 3 last year. And he'll have games in the 30s and stuff with 50 odd minutes, which is still sweet, given he's priced at 23, but has the ability to go really big like he did last week with a 53 in the 68 minutes. So keep Starling in your thoughts. Mitch Barnett at 724. He's really had a breakout sort of last 6 weeks or so. From round 11 there, he hasn't hit under 50. His lowest score is 52 in round 12. So that's a really good stretch of 5 games there. And he had decent games across the beginning of the season, but not as good there. And that was when he was in the prop position, which he did start there last week, but played a bit of edge and everything like that. But yeah, you'd really want him on that edge. He seems to score really well at 57 earlier on the year. I think for him, you can wait till round 20. He's got that mid and edge dual tag. There's a lot of good things for Mitch Barnett, but it feels like at this price now, you might have to wait one more week and decide from there. Cam McInnes, if you do need a mid this week heading into round 19, I still think he's a great buy. He's looking incredible at the moment and has obviously got 59 minutes last week. And if he can continue that, I think he'll be a 55 scorer, and he's priced at 50. So, 53.4 average for the year. He dropped a little bit with that the 47 and the 29, but he's gone back to business, back to good stuff, obviously with an incredible 90, and he'll gain a little bit of cash coming into this week. So that's Cam McInnes. Ryan Madison at 550. He could really work out for you. He could just be a bit of an average scorer going forward, but priced at 39, I think he should be able to score you a 45 going forward, but we know in big minute games on the edge, he can be a 50 plus guy. So a risk to take, dual position, misses round 20, but a really seriously good price. I think Madison's a solid one to grab. Keon Kolomatangi, 732, has got the start in the 13 jersey. We know the next week he's going to get massive minutes, maybe in round 20 as well. This week, maybe a few less minutes, but still playing in the 13 role, where we know he's scored awesomely. 104 into 47, 53, and 68. But he scored 4 tries in those games, and we've seen that with Cook as well, scoring a bulk amount of tries there. And could continue to happen, obviously. The next bunch of games is Para, Dolphins, Tigers, Canberra, who all don't have a very good defense as well. So, yeah, keep that in mind with Keon. But at that price now, you could wait. You could also grab this week as well. Toa Sipley, 382 for him. I had a quick look at Nathan Brown, but off the bench, we don't want to jump into him, I think. With Sipley, we know that when he gets decent minutes, he can score really well, but his minutes have been so low this year. You look at games where he's, let's just say over 30 minutes is an easy one to play. So he's at 27 pricing. He scores 49 in 39-minute games. So you'd expect in a starting jersey, he'll get the 39 minutes, and that's more than 10 points of value. So that mid pick there of Toa Sipley is a really, really solid one at that. He's only had 3 games this year of over 40 minutes. They've all been 45, and in that point, he's averaged 50, which is incredible. So definitely someone to look at. He's been in and out with injury and suspension, but is a risk worth taking, I think, at that price. Connor Watson at 795. If you want a gun in the mids who's likely going to back up in round 20 as well, Watson is that guy. There could be an injury, and he plays bigger minutes in Game 3 of Origin. So keep that in mind. But when he plays in the 13 role, he runs the footy well. He got a try assist last week. Actually, he didn't get the try assist in the end. They took that away. But we know that when he plays good minutes there, he obviously went out to the centres. When he gets good run meters and massive tackles, 40 to 50, he's a 60-point player easily. Price of 57. So keep that in mind for Watson if you're looking at him. Spoke about Madison already. Dave Fafita at 874. So he's priced at 62. The big thing with him is obviously a captaincy option this week, and I might put the captaincy on him. But he does come up against the Sharks this week, who, Nico Hines has been tackling pretty well and not missing a lot of tackles. So we'll see how that one plays out. He's got Britton Nikora, who does miss tackles though. And then he might make Origin. So if he does make Origin, it would be a tough pill to swallow this week buying him. So I think if you don't own him this week, hold off and then look to potentially buy next week if he doesn't make Origin. I just spoke about Nikora coming up against Fafita, but for him, I do think he's probably 50 or so K undervalued, given the start to the season that he did have. A little bit slow, had a 3-game stretch between 11 and 13. He was pretty poor as well. But last week and the week before, obviously getting a try in both of those shows what he can do. And then base stats the week before getting 55. So he can do it in all ways. He just had a bit of a slow start to the season, but running the footy when he gets it, he's looking great at the moment. And I do think try scoring opportunities will come, but another one that misses round 20 and should be on your list of potential buys this week for sure. Bryce Cartwright's another one. I would grab Nikora over Cartwright. They both miss round 20. He has to do a lot to get points at the moment. In a team where defensively they're not very good and they're scoring a lot of points themselves, there's a lot of time where that play is stopped and he can't get tackle numbers. So that's the big worry for him. He had a few games in a row with 30-odd tackles, and that's where he was able to get some good base stats and get mid 40, high 40s average. But long term, how many offloads does he have to get a game and tackle breaks to get good scores? Is he going to average like a 45 to 47? Probably. He'll have big games, but he might have low games as well. We'll price at 415. He got a 45 last week. I think you can take the punt on him for sure, but it may not be perfect. There could be a time where he gets dropped. It could also be good that Ponga's back and he could have some more try scoring opportunities. It's got Canberra into Manly and Broncos, so not the hardest draw coming up, and obviously plays, if he keeps the spot, round 19 and 20, so not bad at all. Adam Cook, Fogarty's going to come back and he's going to unfortunately lose that spot, so it could just be a 1 week thing for Cook, maybe 2 weeks there, and I just don't think it's worth bringing him in. We've got Dylan Brown at 662, so people are just annoyed with his efforts in recent history. He picked up a 29, he got 36 a couple of weeks ago in amongst some low 50 scores, priced at 47. If you're looking at getting Hines, I understand selling him if you're keeping Galvin as well, but you could hold if you want to also in that one. Chanel Harris-Tavita, 291. Again, really, really good score last week, but unfortunately for him, he probably his time in the starting side is numbered. So if you want to, an okay score this week, likely without a couple of tries, in my opinion, it'll work. But longer term, he's probably going to be on the bench. So I'd go Starling before Chanel. Nico Hines this week at 866. He has a 99 break even according to Fantasy, 97 here. So very, very likely to drop some cash this week. But Titans are a team that aren't defending incredibly well. And then he has Tigers the week after. So either this week or this next week could be a good time to buy. I think that he will bounce back this week and do really well. He got 54 in a game there where nothing happened well for him. And he picked up 31 tackles for no misses. So his tackle numbers are incredible at the moment. That base with the run meters and the kick meters gets him to that 50. And if they put on some points, he'll get goals, he'll get assists, he might score a try as well. So I'm expecting him to do well this week, and I'm very worried potentially not owning him going into next week. Jack White at 440, still in that range where you could potentially buy if you need a centre at a reasonable price, but I do think maybe like Tolly Collar could be better at that dual position than White. And we know that he has some solid games in there, 57, 30, and 38. Probably expect him to be a mid to high 30s guy. So still a little bit of cash to make, but not perfect. Kohler there, as I said, 414. In the fullback slot, we know he does really, really well in that position. He's had one game for 45 this year and then did really well last year, obviously at the back end when he crushed and got a 77 and 110, which was awesome. Is his spot in the fullback position just on loan for Turbo to come back? That's the big question. Bradman Best is 699. He's priced at the 50 mark, so it's still pretty high for him. A lower break even after his incredible 109. Picked up the 99 a bunch of weeks ago as well. So he has that high upside in him, but he also has 30s in his game as well. I think you can hold off at that price. I'd probably rather Gagai for sure, even though Gags might play Origin. So that's where you could probably hold off on Gags this week. But yeah, I think he's going to be really helpful for Marzu, which we'll speak about in a sec. But Ponga, people are grabbing this week. It's obviously a lot of fun owning Kalen. He had scores of 52, 72, 67, and 69 before his injury-affected game. He was even injured in that 69 score as well. So he's someone priced at 54. It's expensive. I think you can wait a week, but he could also tear up Canberra as well. So if you want to go on him this week, that's fine as well. Greg the Leg is 479. I think he's a really solid purchase this week. He's obviously going to play the rest of the games. He'll miss round 21 with a bye, that is all. And priced at 34, I'm expecting somewhere in the 40s range for him. No try savers this year. No turnover tackles, which will come back to the mean a little bit. Run meters are still pretty good. Errors are up a little bit, so that could come back a little bit. He's only scored, he had 2 tries up until the double on the weekend, where he gets a 65. And I do think in base he's a 35 guy at the moment, and then potential for upside against some of these lesser teams throughout the back end of the season, especially like Tigers, Bunnies, Titans, and Dolphins in that back end. Could be a really fun time to own Greg with Kalen on his on his inside. Fletcher Sharp, I think at 368, obviously picked up a good gain in price last week, 40k. 23, unfortunate for him. If he gets some decent minutes off the bench, sweet. If he doesn't, then I think you sell next week. So just hold on for this one and decide. Ponga might not actually play either, so keep that in mind. KO Weeks, I think it's a hold this week, but you could definitely sell. His break-even's 45. He had an incredible try at the back last week where he ran for 100 meters and got a couple of tackle breaks and the line break as well. So that got him to 25 points, which was massive. Don't expect that every week. I'm probably expecting a 30 or so out of him, but he is up against the Knights and he could score all right at the back there. So I'll be holding this week and maybe selling next week there for KO weeks. Up to you on that one though, if you want to. Toll Harris in the low, picked up 25 minutes last week. I think selling him is a good idea. He's still at a decent price. He potentially could be a buy at some point, but when's he going to get good minutes? That's the big question. Adam Fanua-Blake is one to mention as well. Given he's at $6.95 now, I don't think you can sell him. He's too cheap now, averaging almost 55 with priced at 50. He's underpriced right now and undervalued for what he's been averaging. I think he's close to a buy in around 2021, that kind of range, once he levels out in price, and he could start scoring tries again. Someone who's an interesting Jake Tungo at 230k. He's dual wing fullback and center. He could actually keep his spot in the side for the next 5 games. 6 weeks there is likely where we'll see Mike Acevo out. And if Tungo plays well, he could keep that spot. So he's probably the best cash down that could work out as a play this week at 230k. There's obviously risk of certain guys coming back into the side or them dropping him after a week or something like that, but sometimes that's a risk you have to take. And then Harry Grant to finish things off. Me personally, I do think he's going to miss 18, 19, 20 and then potentially get rested in one of these back end of the season games. And he's not playing incredibly well at the moment. He's likely to come out and crush it. You can tell why only 9 of the top 100 have him, is because he hasn't been going that well. He's someone that I think a lot of people will target in round 21 or something like that, and that's completely fair, but I have no hooker this week, so I have to move him on personally, and you could decide yourself on how that works for you. So that's the guys I'm looking at as buy, holds, riskets, and sells this week. I hope that helps you guys out, and thank you again for potentially going in and rating this podcast 5 stars on Spotify. That'll be really helpful, or Apple Podcasts there. Thanks so much for being here, guys, and we'll catch you in that next video.